All right. Anyway, so Marco Rubio could be seen in New Hampshire yesterday campaigning during multiple stops, shaking hand after hand at a diner and talking at town halls. His family also joined him on the run.
Rubio has made 42 stops in New Hampshire, according to NECN's tracker. That's the same number as Jim Gilmore. By comparison, Lindsey Graham has made 176. Chris Christie, 131. At a weekend town hall, Governor Chris Christie reportedly said, quote, "This is not like a Marco Rubio thing where you get 3 questions and then he leaves. We actually stay here and we answer questions for a while." Meanwhile,
that's actually, so Mike, I guess the question is, does it return to form? Does New Hampshire return to form, or do you have people that can just drop into the state, give a speech, leave, and win?
No, I don't think New Hampshire's like that. I don't think it's going to be like that either. I mean, Marco Rubio reminds me of the apocryphal story about, someone asking years ago, how about Mo Udall? Do you like Mo Udall as a candidate for president? And the New Hampshire resident says, I don't know, I've only met him once. And there is that in the body politic up there in New Hampshire. They expect to see these candidates. They expect to be able to talk with them. So I don't think New Hampshire's changed at all, and I think it's going to, I think Rubio missed an opportunity up there.
Yeah.
His campaign has said out loud, they say, listen, we get more pop from sitting in a studio and doing a Fox News interview with, name your host, Bill O'Reilly, Megyn Kelly, whoever it is, than we do from being on the ground and all these things. That may be wrong, and it may doom them eventually, but they believe that they can go more broad with their media.
The contrast that they have with Chris Christie, right? If you're a New Hampshire voter and you see Chris Christie in the state constantly, all the time, fighting so hard, spending every last second at every town hall, and he has really, I mean, to his credit, he has turned himself, upside down from having a low approval to a high one, which is the hardest thing to do in politics.
Yeah.
And the contrast with Marco Rubio, if you're the voter, so why would I vote for the Rubio guy who's never here if I have Chris Christie here saying, I'm here all the time?
He's our guest just ahead.
But it leads to the question, at least in my mind, is what is the strategy here? Is he looking toward the middle of March when you got a bunch of states going off and in 2 weeks, March 8th?
Waiting for people to leave?
Here's the problem. You have to pick a state. And Chris Christie did that. He picked New Hampshire. Other people have picked New Hampshire as well, but candidates need to pick a state because you can be everything to everybody or nobody to nobody. And maybe lightning strikes, maybe things go wonderfully for Marco, but if they do, this is the first time that you don't. We talked about this yesterday. I didn't even put up a poll of registered Republicans because it doesn't matter. Because you got registered Republicans, and then you've got people who vote in primaries, which is about a third of the registered Republicans. Then you have people who vote in these presidential contests, which may even be 30%, 28%. So you have to ID a very small group of these people, call them, knock on their doors, drag them to the polls. This is what Barack Obama did. It's why Barack Obama knew he was going to win, why David actually... And from what the Washington Post, the New York Times, everybody else says, Marco's just not doing that. So what happens to his money and his support if he's like 0 for 5 in the middle of February? Well, I think the problem is right now he's starting to hear about it, and we've had Halpern and other people report on this. And Nick, you know this better than anybody else. I mean, he's starting to hear about it from his donors.
Yeah.
And when you start, and his donors are starting to leak to the paper that they want him to choose a state. And once that starts happening, that's when things start to get a little desperate, right?
Yeah, look, his whole premise here was to avoid going dry like Scott Walker, right? So they told me a month ago that we have enough money in the bank right now to fund our campaign and our media through March, I believe it was. So their strategy, I think, to your point, Mike, is to get to that point. But, time and time again, we see these candidates who say, wait, no, we can hold out and get some later win and then jumpstart then. It never
the Giuliani
works.
strategy.
It never happens. It never works out that way.
So it's interesting.